very excited to introduce Mike Arce.
Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me okay? Yep. Okay, and I promised Karen I was going to stay on time, so permission to grab my iPad to keep time here. Hang on. And I got 2 hours. You guys are going to have to listen to me for 2 hours. Is that crazy? Actually, you know what? I left my iPad, but I brought my water, so I got my time here, and I'm good. Oh, wow, everything is set up for me. Okay, this is really exciting for me for a couple reasons. One, I've never been to Iowa before, and I asked 3 people, what should I do in Iowa so that I can say I've been to Iowa? Like, what's an Iowa thing to do? And Sam, first off, round of applause for Sam. Sam follows me everywhere, and he's our video guy. He's done over 1,000 videos for our company in a year. So a round of applause for this guy, which is a lot of work. But Sam and I are in an Uber, and the Uber driver says to us, well, there's a really cool restaurant called Texas. And I said, Texas? He goes, yeah. I go, is that Iowa food? He goes, no, it's Texas food. I go, well, that doesn't make any sense. So then he recommends corn. I go, okay, so corn's really good. He's like, yeah. I go, okay, where do we get good corn? He's like, well, it's not the time of year for that. And I'm like, okay, what do I do here? He's like, I think just walk around and hang out. People just get smashed here. I think that's what we do. So other than that, if you guys have any recommendations, feel free to email me, mike@loudrumor.com, with something cool to do before I leave here. That would be exciting. All right, got my clicker set up. I might do that. That actually sounds a good workout. The other reason I'm really excited, which this happened about 5 minutes ago, was watching Lance and you guys and the way you interact. So we work with a ton of franchises, from Orange Theory to Psycho Bar to 9 Rounds, and a bunch of different franchises that are out there, and some are in your area, some are not. And what I will say is there's a really cool vibe here, the way you guys are interacting with each other, and even the leadership, how the leadership is responding. I don't know if you guys know this, but in many franchises, there's a lot of negativity and walls between the franchisees and leadership. And I didn't see that here. I feel like it's a really great thing that you've built. And so I'm, yeah, I am super, super excited here. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about me, because I'm pretty sure there's a good portion of you guys that may not know who I am. And this particular talk is strategic marketing with massive proven results. We're going to talk a lot about lead generation, marketing, advertising, that sort of stuff. And then later on today, we're going to be talking about sales. I want you to know what this is not going to be about. So this particular talk is pretty cut and dry. We're going to be going through a lot of awesome things that you guys are going to be able to implement right away. Some things some of you may know. I'm hoping that there's some things in here that none of you do. But the next talk later on, I think you're going to be, my objective is for you guys to have a really great different perspective of sales and what it is. Because I think, raise your hand if you think some people have a bad association with what being a salesperson is. Okay. How many of you guys have heard people say, maybe you've been guilty of it, but at least heard people say, I'm not a salesperson. I don't want to be a salesperson. Okay. So we're going to change that today. You guys are going to feel real good about it, because I think there's a way to be one in a way that's not only respectable but fun and actually grows your business and your members absolutely love. So talk about me for a little bit. Permission, is that okay? So you guys know who I am, and then we can move on. So I was born and raised in New Jersey. From what I understand from my Uber driver, everybody thinks that that's the garbage state. So we are the garden state, and we grow wonderful things as well, like tomatoes and zucchini, and it's excellent. Okay, we started my first business at 24. I got married at 27. I started my agency at 27. I created the GSD show at 33. Who knows what GSD stands for? That's for when I'm around kids, I say get stuff done. Yes. What is it?
Get shit done.
Everybody say it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Get shit done. Yes. Now you raise your hand. What did you raise your hand for?
Well, I thought you were going to say, have we ever watched it?
Oh, raise your hand if you watch the GSD show. That's pretty cool. And we have some amazing guests lined up, so stay tuned for that. I had my 4th kid at the age of 33, and my kids got me feeling like I'm 85. So this is a question that I get from a lot of people, especially people that are younger, which in my industry, I'm not necessarily a dinosaur, but I'm creeping on a dinosaur, because people are like in their early 20s, mid-20s in what I do. But the question I get is, man, what's it like to have 4 kids? That sounds crazy. And so Jim Gaffigan's one of my favorite comedians, and he said it best. He said, well, when you have 3 kids, it's equivalent to the feeling of drowning. And when you have 4 kids, it's like you're drowning and then someone hands you a baby. And it's spot on, Jim. Thank you very much for putting it in a box for me. So my first business was Advanced Body Image. It was actually a personal training company. I was a trainer for about 7 years. It was one of the most amazing things that I could have done. And I was actually talking to you earlier today, and you told me to bring this up, so I will. I also was an owner and a manager of a martial arts school. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo, 2-time state champion in Arizona, and actually traveled across the country to Vegas and Arkansas and California to actually compete in martial arts as well. I normally don't bring that up, but I was told it's appropriate here. So that I have a little bit of a background. I sold a ton of martial art programs and personal training programs as well. So that business was going so great. It was amazing. There was nothing more exciting than working with people on their fitness goals, people that have a real hard time reaching it. You know, you work so hard to learn so much about what you guys do in fitness and nutrition, and you don't realize how far some people are from really understanding some of that stuff, right? Like, they think like, oh, well, what if I, drink, or what if I just have string cheese throughout the day? I get my protein, right? And it's like, well, you can't have 12 sticks of string cheese throughout your day and get your protein in. There's a lot of other things you should be doing. And so it was really great helping people through their goals. And we actually built our business up pretty well. We had, for a young kid, I had 3 trainers working underneath me. We were doing about $45K per month. And then I was outed. So what ended up happening, I started my business as an independent trainer inside of a Gold's Gym. And young guy, personal trainer, I was at LA Fitness managing different gyms there, different locations there. And I told him, I was like, hey, I just really want to start a personal training company in here. So well, you got to be an independent trainer. And anybody that you have working underneath you, they have to be independents as well. So you have to pay for their monthly fee, right? And I said, sure. Now, I guess I didn't know this, but I found out later that Gold's Gym didn't really expect independent trainers to actually do all that. They expected them to just have those dreams. Well, I actually stacked up fast, and we had trainers, and they were stacked up, and they had their own personal training company within the gym that had all the marketing and all the stuff that they needed to really be successful. And we were signing up more people than they were, and we were just 3 independent people. And so regional manager came down, they started putting rules on what I could and couldn't do. Can't talk to members. Now you can't host clinics. Now you can't put up flyers. Now you can't hand things out. Now you can't teach people anything. You can just exist, right? So I was forced to eventually, it just didn't make sense because I was hurting their business model. And so I left that. And I actually began to manage fitness centers. So I went back to LA Fitness. I was recruited over and started doing some stuff at Pure Fitness, Fitness One, helped my uncle with his martial arts school. And there was just a lot of things. In fact, I actually had 22 jobs in my life, which is a lot. Can anybody beat that, by the way? Raise your hand if you could beat 22. Okay, nobody ever can. So I'm still the record holder, yes. So 22 jobs is not something to necessarily brag about. It really just proves one thing: I suck as an employee. And I can't be one for long. And I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I definitely knew that I had ideas and I had things that I wanted to put in place, and I just never found a place that allowed me to exercise all of those things. So this is my family. I told you I had 4, proven it. So this is a picture. By the way, side note, my wife told me to come down and take a picture in this really random place. It looks beautiful here, but it looked weird and disgusting when she brought me there. It was random weeds and rocks. And I was like, are you sure it's going to look good? She's like, trust me, it's going to be beautiful. She figured it out. The reason I show you this is because we started our business, and some of you guys can relate to this. We started our business with my son at 3 years old. And my wife, who is amazing and incredible, and I owe a lot to her, she actually got pregnant with Gianna. And that was on our wedding night. That's when it happened. And so we ended up finding out that we were going to be having a baby. Now, the thing is, she found out obviously before I did, and she wanted to wait until Father's Day to let me know the good news. In between that time, she told her boss that she was pregnant, she was expecting. And later that day, after the congratulations, so great, you're going to love being a mom, hours later, cutbacks. They cut my wife out. and let her go. Now, she was the only one that really was let go, and what we learned is when you have less than 15 employees, and in Arizona, it's a right to fire, right to hire type deal, so there was nothing we can do. Now, at the time, I couldn't even help with that because my wife still didn't tell me she was pregnant and she was waiting till Father's Day. So she held on, she got another job, then she told me, Father's Day came, it was exciting, and then she starts showing, and I'm like, does your new boss know that you're pregnant? She's like, no, I'm afraid to tell him. She's sucking it in all day. I was like, you got to tell him. Told him on Friday, celebrations Monday, cutbacks. Got fired twice in the same pregnancy. Now, the economy it was 2009. Things weren't going so well on my side. I was managing a sales floor at the time, and so I knew that this wasn't going to work out well. We were at this point without her income and my income dropping, losing $1,500 a month. We had $500 in the bank, and so we had to figure something out. I gave her a cold call script, and I gave her a list of companies to call, and we became a website company. We started Loud Rumor, and basically what we did was I'd sell you a website, and I'd hire somebody in India to do it for a third of the price. I'd manage it for you, and it'd look exactly the way you want it to be, right? That's what I did. She made an average, at 5 months pregnant, 230 phone calls, cold calls per day to get this shit going, right? And the great thing is, after a month, we were actually able to get 8 appointments and close 6 of them. So this was the actual business, Loud Rumor. It's a local business internet marketing company. That's what we were pitching it as. This right here is the hallway above the office that I worked at as an employee for the last time at the job. I show you this because my boss didn't know that I was running a business or starting a business. So I would go upstairs. He probably thought I had terrible irritable bowel syndrome because I would be gone for 15, 20 minutes at a time, 2 to 3 times a day to take these phone calls. That right there is an outlet because the netbook I had, most I could afford, couldn't stay charged for more than 15 minutes without being dead, so I had to sit on the floor. That was my office. This was my first office. Sold 6 people there, and that's when I decided I can actually start my own business. We eventually moved into this, which is a 1-car garage in my house. Fortunately, the owners before us actually had it floored and everything like that, so that's my cousin, convinced him to work with us. I wanted it to be like Google as much as I could, so I couldn't afford furniture, so I put a ping pong table in what should have been my living room and dining room, and I also put a really awesome gym, AKA treadmill, and those little push-up handles. That's all we had, and we got a mascot. Here's what I learned. That mascot, we paid $34 for that entire costume. To be a really great business person, when you're starting from scratch, you don't have resources, so you got to be resourceful. So that logo I actually designed myself by hand on Microsoft Paint. And that green outfit we ended up finding for cheap on like a for sale site. Those are swimming Speedos. Those are like Halloween Batman boots and gloves. And I got my aunt to like sew this thing on. And we went to every event we could possibly go to, like guerrilla marketing, like you couldn't believe, everything we could possibly think of. So we went to wherever there was like football games, we would just randomly go. We went to Suns games. They kicked us out so many times. You can't have masks in the arena. So many times you got kicked out. But we had so many people saying, I saw the green man, I saw the green man. His name was Boom. And it's not really that amazing, but at the time it did its job. It got us in front of enough people, which was cool. That was our first promotional product. It was a deck of cards. Honestly, I don't know what I was planning to do with that at the time. It made sense. And this was our first print. So we got in Mountainside Fitness, and we got an ad running in there. And our first sales board, we had a mission. We knew that we wanted to be able to get to 250,000. The magic number, you want to get to 21,000 in a month. That was the first month that we did 21,000, and it was exciting. We took a picture of the whiteboard. We have a little bit more of a sophisticated system to measure our stuff now, but at the time, dry erase was great. Except one time when my cousin and I were messing around and I went into the wall and I erased almost all of our stats. That sucked. There was a lot of remembering what it would look like. First year we did 98K. Second year we did 250. Third year we grew it to 500K. We worked insanely hard. I can't tell you how hard we worked. I'm talking, and most of you guys can probably relate, waking up at 5, shutting it down at 2 a.m. right? And just everything in between while also being a father, being a husband. Worked ridiculously hard. 3 years later, from 500K 3 years ago, still at 500K. Shitty feeling. Nothing is more painful than working hard and not moving forward. I hit a wall. Anybody can relate? Anybody ever had this feeling? Like I just feel like I'm on this treadmill. Raise your hand high if you had that feeling now or ever. Okay. Raise your hand high if it sucks. because we know we can do better if we just have what? Like that one thing, that tipping point. Raise your hand if you heard of that tipping point. We just need the tipping point, the mythical tipping point. Where is it? I got very lucky. I ended up being introduced to some people that actually became my mentors. And he taught me the value of coaching. And which is funny because I can't believe I didn't think of this, because for years before I was a coach, as a martial arts instructor, as a personal trainer, and people hired me not necessarily always because they didn't know what to do, but because they needed someone there to make sure that shit got done, right? So I hired coaches, got mentors, and I read this really great book called Built to Sell. It was a great book, amazing on Audible. Listened to it in the car, and it was fantastic. It's a story, which made it really easy to listen to because it talked in parable the whole time, and it was fantastic. And what I learned from all these people in the books is the riches are in the niches. Now, you guys are in a niche, which is fantastic, but you can even get deeper, and we're going to talk about that. So for me, I said, well, I know fitness and I know lead generation. These are the two things I do very well. So I ended up redesigning Loud Rumor to become a lead generation agency for fitness studios and independent gyms. So now I only have to get great at one thing. I could stop being a jack of all trades, work on being a king of one. I knew exactly what type of content to put out. And I created things like the GSD show. So some of you raise your hands, you know what the GSD show is. It's a podcast specifically for fitness studios, independent gyms, and in reality, I would say 80% of the content would work for most small businesses because a lot of it's just foundational business stuff. You know, certain things that every business should run by. And we know that business is business no matter where you go, because raise your hand if you've heard of guys like Marcus Lemonis or Damon John or Gary Vaynerchuk. Raise your hands if you've heard of guys like that. Okay, now those guys, Richard Branson, right? If you had to have those guys step in your business and be a CEO for a month, raise your hand if you think that would be an incredible opportunity. Raise your hands. Now, the reason you think that'd be an incredible opportunity is because you know, even though they may not know anything about what you guys do as a service, you know that business is business, and these guys will make some really great changes. And so the show is a lot about business, but we also focus a lot on this specific industry. We've had great people on the show, like CEO of Mountainside Fitness, Tom Hatton, who went from 0 to 70,000 paying members, independent trainers that have been able to build businesses online, to different companies that we believe in, and we think fitness studio owners and independent gym owners could actually use and be able to run their businesses better and more efficiently. We've been able to write weekly blogs along with those weekly episodes, and each one of the blogs and episodes is separate, but they're focused 100% on situations, obstacles, problems, challenges that fitness studio owners and independent gym owners need to know and how to overcome those things. And this is probably the only serious picture you'll ever see of me. It's a picture of me writing a book, 109 Proven Tips to Grow Your Fitness Studio. It's not out yet, but the point is content is king. Raise your hand if you heard that phrase, content is king. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because you guys have so much content that you don't even know what to do with. So what's your name?
Johan.
Johan?
Yep.
Has anybody ever asked you questions like, what should I eat before a workout?
Yep.
Have you answered it before?
Yep.
Once? Twice? Many times? So you could write a blog on it.
Sure.
You could probably make a video on it.
Yep.
Have you ever been asked, should I eat before I go to bed? You could write a blog on that. Easy. Can you make a video on it? What kind of stretches should I be doing before I work out? Yep. Could you write a blog on it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so what questions have you been asked twice or more? You got content, use it. Now, so the reason a lot of people don't put out content is because they want to be able to impress the people at the level that they want to impress, the elite. And they're like, oh, everybody knows that already. There's already content on that. There's stuff on that. Listen, I get that. But the content that I'm going to be distributing to you guys today, the elite already know as well. You want to put out content that your possible customers, your potential customers don't know. Don't sell to your level, sell to your potential customers because they don't know that. That's why you get asked it so many times. They want to know it. I've gotten to meet some really great people along the way and got some really great advice from people like Marcus Lemonis and some other awesome entrepreneurs. I've been blessed, and it's so crazy how it keeps going up. I even started giving back and doing my own coaching program. And now we're projecting to do $3 million this year, which is exciting because that's 3 times more than we did last year. Why do I tell you all of this?